Alright, now, so I hope you all can see the screen. Now, this is according to this book, Visuddhimagga. Magga is path, Visuddhi is purification. Sometimes we translate it as path of purification. In fact, there's another book which is the translated book of this Visuddhimagga. It's called Path of Purity by another author. This one is by the Nyanamoli. Alright. Now this book is very important for anyone who aspire to meditate. In fact, it is a saying that if you have this book, you can just go to the jungle and practice. Alright. So if you don't have teacher, you can just study from this book and go on. So they are divided into few parts. The first part is on sila, virtue. Second part is on concentration, samadhi. And after that, there's another part, right? On the panya, wisdom, understanding. This is follow the Buddha's teaching, sila, samadhi, panya. And if you look at it, the part on sila, even though it's only 55 pages, but it's actually cover very important part for any person who want to be an ascetic practice. This means that practice seriously, or just even for lay person, you can take on some of the good values from here. And of course, for the samadhi, there's a lot of description like kasina and so on. Alright. And for those who are interested in the different type of practice, you can refer to this. And if you just want to go straight to Vipassanā, you don't want to focus more on the jhana, you can just focus on this panya. One thing about this book, if you look at it, it's actually look like Abhidhamma book, right? Because when you look at this part, you can find there's a many description about Abhidhamma, the detailed charts and tables. Okay, so we will go through, but I just want to cover because I hope to review it, because this is the one that this Visuddhimagga I started about 2023, right? So it's already about near to 2 years, right? What is Visuddhimagga? The path of purification or path of purity, because there are two translators. One is by Bhikkhu Nyanamoli, which is the book that we are using here. Another one by U Pe Mountain. So this book is actually not easy to find because it does not really exist as in a PDF form, and it's already been published by the Bali Text Society in 1923. So because it's not easy to find, normally people will just refer to this book, The Path of Purification, right? So actually, if you can find these two books and you can just do comparison study, it will be good. In fact, one of the Sayadaw, I think some of you might know, Sayadaw U Silananda, when he was giving teaching of this Visuddhimagga, he said that the path of purity, translated by U Pe Mountain, is actually better. Okay, because there's another reason is because the Burmese people, they have translated this book into Burmese. All right, so anybody Burmese, they can refer to this book. They also can see the Burmese translation. So they either can look at the Pali or look at the Burmese. So they have both advantages of the two languages. Right. Now, we need to know the background of this book, because there's one thing controversial about this book. Like, they say this is a commentary, right? Because it's commentary, some people, they don't really accept it because it's not part of the Tipitaka. So when we see the, let's say, just to show you all, the Tipitaka, okay, this is the software that I always use because it's easy for me. So when we see the Tipitaka, this is the Mula Pali, means it's the original. You can see Vinaya, the rules for monks and nuns, to Sutta, the discourses, Abhidhamma, alright. Okay, you can find the Sutta book, Vinaya book, and Abhidhamma book. Alright. This is a Atthakatha commentary, alright, for each Vinaya, Sutta, and Abhidhamma. Tika means sub-commentary. Now, this Anya means others, alright. So you can see Visuddhimagga is not really included in the Tipitaka. It's considered as Anya. Anya means other book, like Lady Sayadaw, one of the very famous Sayadaw who writes a lot of books on Abhidhamma. Right, he's also Anya. And then the Wangsa. Wangsa is kind of like lineage of the story and history and so on. So it's also under Anya. And Visuddhimagga you can find the part 1 and part 2. Because this Visuddhimagga is not in the Tipitaka. So certain monks, I think those in Thailand, alright, they don't really study this book. But in Myanmar tradition, this book is a must for the meditator. Because in this book, you also find lots of Abhidhamma point also. Okay, so that's the reason why there's a different viewpoint. Some they say Visuddhimagga is a must. Some people say Visuddhimagga is not necessarily since it's not inside the Tipitaka. Okay, let's go back. Right, now you can say, even when we look at the history, some they say Buddhaghosa is from India. Some they say it's not confirmed. Then according to the notes later, which I copy from the book, so they say he studied in the Mahavihara. Mahavihara is a very important place because there are many learned monks came from there, and according to the record, they are also Arahant exist at that time. So if you happen to visit Anuradhapura, you can try to find this place, Mahavihara. And it's a 5th century during the King Mahanama. King Mahanama is also one of the interesting, important king, because his name is mentioned few times in other commentary and sub-commentary. So there's another book is actually related to this Visuddhimagga. It's called Vimuttimagga, which translated as Path of Freedom. So later there are some explanation here. Now, what is a Visuddhimagga? So we call it the Path of Purification. So it's actually quite unique. In terms of Tipitaka, it's very unique because it is actually a commentary for the whole Tipitaka. So you can say it summarizes and interprets. Interprets means that it will give his own ideas and so on. So, and this is also called non-canonical. Why we call it non-canonical? Because I already mentioned just now, okay? So, those are in the Mula Pali, means on the Vinaya Sutta Abhidhamma. This is called canonical. Those are outside, and the Anya is a non-canonical. Means it's not really recognized as part of the Tipitaka. So in this book, you find that he used the Abhidhamma method, especially talking about the 5 aggregates and so on, and then the Citta Cettasika. That's why in Myanmar tradition, here when people study Visuddhimagga, before they study Visuddhimagga, they need to study Abhidhamma. Because inside the Visuddhimagga, there are lots of Abhidhamma facts. And it set out the important instruction for purification of mind. And according to the information you find in the preface of this book, so the Buddhaghosa, he said, he learned from the Sinhalese, he learned 3 Sinhalese commentaries, Maha Atthakatha, Maha Pachari Kundari, right? Another Kundari. So this book is a very old Sinhalese, which because of my PhD, I need to do a research about Visuddhimagga. So I also did some reading on this. So some of the scholars say these 3 ancient commentaries already lost, cannot be found. If you try to do a search, you cannot find it. So this means that he learned, Buddhaghosa learned from the 3 ancient commentaries written by somebody called Buddha Mita. So all these are monks' names. In a way, we can say Buddhaghosa, how did he manage to write this book? So when you see this book, you'll be so amazed by lots of information, lots of facts, because he get this knowledge from the other commentaries. That means that he get this knowledge from other theras. Theras we call elder here. Okay. And according to tradition, this book actually, his knowledge is coming from the Arahant Mahinda, right? And then all these are written in the Sinhala. Sinhala means Sinhalese, for the benefits of the Islander, those living in the Sri Lanka. And now he will remove, when he used the word remove, means that he will translate from the Sinhalese to the Pali. Okay, so that's according to information from the preface of this book. And now he also be very humble when he say that he not just rely on the elders, he also rely on the teaching of the dwellers of the great monastery, Mahavihara. Because Mahavihara is an ancient place, ancient kind of like school, where many learned monks come to learn there. So there are many elders who are very skillful in the Tipitaka. So he say rely on the teaching. So by when he write like this, it shows that he's very humble. He do not cram the knowledge just coming from his own, but depends on others people. Now, there's a people will say he are lacking of originality, because he always say he's learning from somebody, his knowledge is coming from other elders and so on. Okay, but he just say that he tried to respect them. Okay, and he tried to not cram this his viewpoint. He will say that this belong to other viewpoint and so on. And about this one, you have to look at another textbook called Chula Vangsa. Alright, now where can we find this Chula Vangsa? It's under the Anya, right? Under the Vangsa, this is called Chula Ganda Vangsa. It's also another book. Actually, I think most people will not read it, but it's actually all these are being translated into English. You can read it. It's quite interesting. They write the story about all the things happen in Sri Lanka at that time, right? So coming from this book, Chula Vangsa. So now, of course, we cannot read the Pali. So there is already translated to English. There's a Brahmin student. According to this book, Buddhaghosa coming from near the Bukaya, right? Because it says he born near the site of the enlightenment tree, right? Because his speech was profound, voice was deep, just like the enlightened one. So that's why his name is called Buddhaghosa, just like the enlightened one, and so on. Okay, so he's coming from India, and he want to learn more. He know about the Sinhalese commentary still exists. He want to learn about the Sinhalese commentary. That's why he go all the way to Sri Lanka, coming from India. Okay, at that time he's under the king Mahanama. Right, now he go to the great monastery. That is the Mahavihara. Right. So he learned the whole Sinhalese commentary of the elders, Theravada. Okay, now when we say the word Theravada, means Thera is elder, Vada means doctrine. Sometimes we use the word Vada, we call it teaching of the elders. This means that from the Buddha's time, the elder, they learn, they pass to next generation, monks by monks, they maintain the Buddha teaching, not changing anything. So this is called Theravada. So he learned the whole Sinhalese commentary under somebody called Sangha Pala. Okay. and so on the story, right? Then he want to ask for all the books, he want to make a commentary. So the community means refer to monks, the community of monks, they want to test him. So they gave him two standards, means the two verses. And then test him, okay, ask him to write something. So after that, they will give him all the books. So then he summarized the Tipitaka together with the commentary, and this is called Path of Purification. So when he write the book, he want to read it, but the deities hide the book. Okay, so he prepared for second and third time. So when the book was brought out for third time, so then he can see that the first time and second time and third time all are same. Means that he write the exact book like he prepared in the first time. Okay. Then the committee of monks are very delighted with his talent and his understanding of Dhamma. Then they say, oh, this is surely to be the Bodhisattva Metteyya. So they give him all the Tipitakas with all the commentary, right? So from there, he translates the Sinhalese commentary. This means that I would not think it's only one. There are many of them, and into the Maganda. Maganda is a Pali. Sometimes it's called root speech, Mula Pali, Mula Basa. Right? Then after that, he go back to a Jambudipata. Jambudipata means India. Then he pay respect to the Great Enlightenment Tree. Okay, there's another one. Okay, now we want to know why he want to write the Visuddhimagga. Okay. First thing we need to know, he has the enough qualities. First, he need to be able to digest all the Tipitaka, because Tipitaka is a very big text, and then he need to systematically write all the book. So he need to possess all these outstanding qualities, and then he need to write in Pali, because it's in order to share the Dhamma. Because if the commentary or all are in Sinhalese, only Sinhalese people be able to read. But if he write in Pali, so all the Burmese people, or the Thai people, or the Cambodia people be able to read for those monks, all right? Okay, so that's the reason here. And there's also another book which I say is very similar. It's called Vimuttimagga. This book actually, it seems that to be already lost in the Pali, because only existing form is in Chinese translation in the 6th century. Okay, supposed to be this book is also written in Pali, but nobody can find in Pali. So what they do is they translate from the Chinese, they translate into the English. All right, so you can find this book. This called Path of Freedom. It's also a very interesting book to read. It's very similar to this Path of Purification. Okay, so this is more on the practical instruction, but they are very similar. So because they are very similar, so a lot of theory come to be. They say maybe before the Visuddhimagga, this book already exists. Right, so there's a point here. Okay, so it's actually the detailed manual from any meditation teacher. Okay, you will find a lot of teacher either like in those Vipassanā teacher or Samatha people. They also Samatha teacher also quote from this book. All right. So chapter 1 and 2 and different chapter, they have the different topics. Okay. Now the whole book actually is based on the question and answer. Remember just now they say the elders, the community want to test him, so they give him a questions. All right. So based on this question, then he start to write the answer. So in the starting of this book, you can find this question. The inner tangle and outer tangle, this generation entangled in a tangle. So I ask of Gautama this question, who succeed in this and this entangling this tangle, and so on. So yeah, it follow with the answer here. Okay, So answered by the Buddhaghosa, who write this book. When a wise man, established well in virtue, develop consciousness and understanding, then as a bhikkhu ardent and sagacious, he succeeds in entangling this tangle. Now, okay, so wise man, all right, that means that somebody, if you're thinking about Visuddhimagga, it means that not just anybody, it must be a wise man. And in terms of Abhidhamma, is those with the 3 roots. So first thing is morality, sila. Okay, after that, consciousness is talking about samadhi, and understanding is panya. All right, so you have 3 points here: sila, samadhi, and panya. So that is why the Buddhaghosa elder, when he write the book, he start with the sila, and then the chitta, and then panya. And not only that one, the bhikkhu. Now we use the word bhikkhu, but actually means any meditator. It must be has effort, ardent, okay, and nipako. Nipako means wise, so he can be a carrier of tangle. Tangle means attachment, right? So this entangling means let go of the anger. Right, so I'll pause for a while. So I think there's some noise here. Right, okay, now before I go for some questions, some facts I get from the DeepSeek. Okay, so anybody has some little bit questions? Anybody got any questions? Yeah? Okay, I just wait for a while. So, got any questions?
Samadhi is not called concentration.
Samadhi is concentration. Samatha is meditation. Okay.
Samatha is
Wait, so I think I made few of you as a host. So if anybody make some noise, somebody please help me to mute. Okay. So those co-hosts, please help me to mute if I got extra noise. Okay. So any other questions? All right. So this book is actually very deep, but try to take some knowledge. Of course, it's quite impossible to memorize the whole book, right? We just learn as much as we can, and the main thing is just practice it. No point you read or you do research and you don't practice. Like for example, when you look at this book, or you what we get to the knowledge is, oh, this book is very deep and it's done by somebody who is very intelligent. So maybe we also aspire. One day we hope that we will be intelligent like this person, so we can write the book like this, hopefully. Because when I read at this book, I say maybe I want to be like this book also, want to write this kind of book. Okay, if no question, I go for next part already. All right, now this is the lecture, old lecture. Okay, so I'm trying to show this one. All right, today I just ask the AI to help me. Okay, now sila, all right, Visuddhimagga teaches the path. Now what is the path? Now in Buddhism, if you notice the Noble Eightfold Path, we call it sila, samadhi, panya, right? In the Noble Path, Noble Eightfold Path, also sila, samadhi, panya. So here is also same, sila. So I think in the first chapter or second chapter, it also talk about sila, various type of sila and so on. When I taught last year, I skipped lots of the sila, right? Because I thought there are some parts about monks, morality, monk sila, and there's another part is aesthetic. So I thought most of you would not be able to practice aesthetic. So I did skip it, all right? I skipped some parts, but I did focus on some of the important point of sila. Maybe for this round we can look at some of the parts like the benefits of observing the morality and so on. Then the Visuddhimagga teach about the concentration. So in a Samatha practice, there are 40 types of meditation, like Anapanasati, focus on breathing, Kasina, color, and Metta, kindness, and then the Asubha, impurity of body, that suit your charita, right? So this is to build the Samatha. Okay, now when we say concentration, just for those who are newcomer, right? Sometimes you need to know there are different terms, all right? Samatha normally refer to the practice, and Samadhi refer to the stage of mind, the level of mind. So we call it concentration. And there's another term, jhana. Jhana normally there are 1 to 4 according to Sutta, 1 to 5 according to Abhidhamma, right? So normally any jhana is considered as a samadhi. Then wisdom. So later, when because these 2 years ago, 2023 until 2024, we only started a little bit on Vipassana. So this time we'll be able to continue more on Vipassana, to examine your mind and body, Namarupa, right? Then break down to the basic experience like physical sensation, feeling, and thoughts. So if you look at this, even when the AI is writing this thing, actually is trying to talk about the Satipatthana, right? And try to see everything is anicca, dukkha, anatta, and there's a sequence. We call it the stages leading to enlightenment, the Vipassana jnana. There are 16 normally. I say normally because sometimes in the sutta is 10 or 9. There are always different numbers. Okay, so don't worry so much about the numbers. Now, what is important about this book? It's a very clear, complete ancient manual, especially for samatha practice and to get deep jhana. And it really teaches you how and each method to do, how to steps. So that's why normally in Myanmar there's a saying, right? They say after you read the Visuddhimagga, you just want to go to forest and practice. In fact, actually you can. I mean, if any of you want to proceed further in your meditation and you do not have access to teacher, so you really can get this book and hold this book and go to forest and practice by yourself, because it's actually the most complete ancient manual, because it's actually mentioned just that it relies on the commentaries by the ancient elders, right? This means that it really teach you the method to be enlightened, same as the previous arahant, how they enlighten, because the knowledge is actually passing on from generation to generation. Okay, it understand about mind well, right? And it connects everything, especially all the suttas you see, because in the Visuddhimagga sometimes it will give some reference to other sutta. Okay, and it also tell about jhana, and also very clearly it now Burmese meditation style, we are referring to Mahasi. Okay, Mahasi maybe also to other, like actually in Myanmar we have few traditions. One is the Mahasi. Mahasi we refer to the direct Vipassana, and also like another one we call it Mogok. Mogok actually they are talking about the dependent origination. They also refer to this Visuddhimagga. So this is we call it direct Vipassana. So in Myanmar also there are other types like Tengu and so on. Okay, but mainly the one that I'm more familiar will be Mahasi and Mogok. So this is called Burmese Mission style. Now think about that. When we read this book, there might be some problem. First is actually very complicated. It actually true because when you read this book, you get lots of information. Okay, you got lots of information that sometimes feel that it's lost. We are lost inside so many information, so much information, and people think that should I follow all, or if I not follow all, will I fail in meditation, right? But actually, some will say real meditation is often messy. Actually, I don't really agree with this one. Okay, it's actually maybe often more simple because when the Buddha taught, he taught many methods. So we can just choose one sutta. No need to read all the sutta because you don't have time to practice all. What we can do if you want to practice, you can just take one sutta, follow the instruction. It's okay. So you don't need so much information as in Visuddhimagga, right? Yes, and also in Visuddhimagga, there's many things about the Abhidhamma also, right? And also in here, like it didn't say that you must go for dry insight. Dry insight means like Mahasi. People who read the Visuddhimagga, they also thought that I must have jhana, right? Because in the book it tell very detailed instruction how to get jhana. So in the book we don't really read about the dry insight. This means that Mahasi method, right? And also it's true. Like 40 types of Samatha practice is actually not easy to practice, and not a lot of monastery or a lot of center are teaching. Most people only practice the breathing meditation or metta only, or maybe the 32 body parts and so on. Okay, but anyway, we can just take it as a great reference. So that's why I say you can take this book, go to forest, sit under the tree. Like when you read the sutta, what the Buddha said, go to the forest or go to the empty room, go to the quiet place, and you can start to practice. Okay, so we can just choose whatever we want. All right. So remember, this is actually written by a scholar in the 5th century. So actually, it's already 1,000 years. So it might that he might follow certain commentary only. So we should find something that's simple, right? So we should find something simple. Actually, they just find the Satipatthana Sutta, okay, and so on. All right, right. So actually, it's a very important book, but we call it controversial, right? Because as I said, it's under the Anya. Anya means it's not in the Tipitaka. But it's very good if you want to follow it to have some instruction for the Samatha and Vipassana. But the problem is it talks a lot on Abhidhamma and also talks a lot about deep jhana. So in fact, when you read this book, you feel that, I need to go for Arupa jhana. I need to have psychic power and so on, right? Because it also describes about psychic power. Alright, so this is the information I get from AI. So actually, sometimes we need to use AI to simplify our job. Okay, so I will stop here. So later we might start with some of the portion of the books. So up to here, any question? So we can make it some Q&A here. I think Brother Cole might not. Hui Ling, I think Brother Cole is not around here. Sister Jennifer Song. Jennifer Song is a opt-out. She's no more in the certificate. Hui Ling. Okay. All right. So any questions from the student here? Anybody want to say something? Thomas? Yeah.
Sorry, Saji, no, I have no question at the moment.
Okay, now you learned the Visuddhimagga before. You also learned Abhidhamma before. So, like the suggestion just now, if you take this book and go to forest and practice, is it okay? Good enough for you? You don't need any teacher? How you feel?
I'm not sure.
Not
I
sure.
think it would be very difficult
Okay. All right.
because I don't know how to decide which method to practice because there's so much in it.
Okay. That's a good question. All right. So in the Visuddhimagga, it talks a lot on the Abhidhamma. That's one thing. It also gives you 40 Samatha practices, and also it talk about the different types of insight knowledge. So with so many information, so much information, so basically you can just take one and start to practice. Okay, and you try. If you feel your mind like it, so maybe it's suitable for you. Okay, in the Buddha's time, we are lucky if there's a Buddha to help, or any Arahant or Buddha disciple. They can see your mind and can say, okay, you can practice this method, or this method is not suitable for you, you can practice another method, because they receive the help from Buddha. That's why they can gain enlightenment very fast in the Buddha time. Now, since the Buddha is not around, so what we can do is we pick up the book and try ourselves. So when I was in Singapore, I meet one brother. Okay, he was very kind. He fetched us to go to his Buddhist center. He asked me this question. He said he been practicing Samatha for about 4 years. He didn't even start with Vipassana. So he was asking me, is it Samatha or Vipassana? Which one is more important? He asked me this question. So I tell him that only in Buddha Sasana. Buddha Sasana means in the Buddha's dispensation, means in the period of Buddha's teaching, we can only find Vipassana. So outside the Buddha Sasana, there is no Vipassana, only Samatha. So since we have the good karma to be inside the Buddha Sasana, and since we can learn Vipassana, actually we should try to practice more Vipassana. We don't want to miss the chance of Buddha Sasana, right? Because outside Buddha Sasana, there is no Vipassana, only Samatha. So that is why the Buddhas, before Buddha became enlightened, his two previous teacher only teach him to the highest third alupa and fourth alupa. They cannot teach him any Vipassana because no Vipassana exists. Only after Buddha became enlightened, he started to discover the Vipassana practice. It say that it's like the road is traveled by the previous Buddha already forgotten, so the road is totally lost. So when the Buddha enlightened, the road was discovered again. This means that it's the noble effort path. So that's why it's saying. Okay, so you can just pick up any practice in that book and start to practice, but focus more on Vipassana. So when the brother asked me this question, he said, should I practice Samatha first or Vipassana first? I say you can try both. All right, let's say in your 1 hour time, let's say if you have only 1 hour per day, so why don't you just dedicate like maybe half an hour for Samatha, half an hour for Vipassana, so you can practice two. Okay, so you don't miss the chance of practice Vipassana. You also can have a very good concentration, because when you practice Samatha, the aim is to calm the mind, to get purity of mind. So when your mind is less busy, less free of the hindrances, free of the thoughts, then you can focus better. After your mind's calmed down, so when you change to Vipassana, it's also very good. You don't need to struggle so much with the pain, with the wandering thoughts, and so on. Okay, so Thomas, right?
Yes, thank you, Saji. Another
Okay.
thing is when I read Visuddhimagga, I get the impression that it's suggesting to practice all of these
Yeah, right.
methods one
Yes.
after another, right?
Yes, because it's written in a very systematic way. And remember, he get the idea of how to write from he said rely on the elders in the Mahavihara and also based on the commentary, Sinhalese commentary. Okay, so he get lots of information. Then he remember when he write this book, the purpose is to impress the elders in the Mahavihara. So he need to write very proper. All right, like kind of like me doing that PhD book. Okay, he need to write like 300, 400 pages with all the information fit in, so the elders will be impressed by him, so they can share the knowledge. They will pass the book, Sinhalese book, to him. So he need to write it in a way it can impress those people who have those monks who have great knowledge. I will think in this way. Okay, all right. So of course the book, that's why the Visuddhimagga, you can see, is a monk's book. They call it monk's book. It's written by the monk, purposely for renunciation. So it's a monk's book. So it's for information. But you can, for lay people, you can take as much as you can. Okay, take whatever you want to learn. So practice according to your own ability. Right? So that's why we call it the manual of, like you say in Chinese we had the Kung Fu, like Kung Fu master, Kung Fu manual. So this is the Kung Fu book for Buddhism. All right. Okay, so when you read this book, you can start practice your Kung Fu. Kung Fu means meditation by yourself. Okay. So okay, if no question, we just break for 10 minutes. So later I will go straight to the book on the Sila. Yes,
Teacher.
Brother Lin. Yes.
So if you say practice yourself, that means you don't need teacher, which is very dangerous to do that.
Very dangerous.
Mm.
Okay.
We may
Alright.
be guided by our own thoughts, and then we'll be landed in other places.
Okay, that's a good question. But normally, actually, for those who want to practice meditation, they should have a purity of mind. Okay, this means that if your mind is not pure, there is no point you meditate. After you get purity of mind, then you can meditate like breathing or kasina or anything. That is safe. But if somebody with mental problem, do you think they can practice? They cannot practice because the moment they close their eye, they only see a lot of delusion, a lot of images, and so on. Okay, but of course, for those with mental problem, they definitely need guidance. You cannot just put them in meditation hall and just ask them to practice because they cannot even control their mind. How can they practice? That's why when you go for any meditation place, it's good because the teacher is always there, so you can ask questions if you meet any problem.
No, the thing is that you may have been meditating for quite some time, but still our interpretation of our insight knowledges can go wrong.
Yes. Yeah. That's why you need to listen to more Dharma talk, read more proper Dharma book, and also always check your experience with the teacher, so you will not get wrong idea. Because if you don't get the right information, somebody might thought they already enlightened. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we break for 10 minutes, then we come back for
Thank
some
you,
more. All right,
teacher.
Okay, thank you.